Let's call the meeting to order, please. This is May 8th, 5:30. We'll start the meeting by calling it to order, and any public comments or anything that anybody wants to start out with that's not related to the subjects we're going to be talking about. Okay. I'd like to get approval of the minutes for March 13th, 2025.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I second it.
Zach Robbins, or Zach Robbins? I was thinking,
Yes.
or
Yes.
oh yeah, sorry.
Oh, I didn't hear.
Stephen Harrison
Yes.
and Phil Nichols.
Yes.
All right, 3-0, perfect.
Position on me.
Okay. And next on the docket is the application for discussion and possible action on a request to amend an existing special use or eliminate condition 4, which states no receptions, meetings, parties, etc. are allowed for the bed and breakfast within the R1 single family dwelling for the property located at 201 North 13th Street. Staff, do you have a report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As you indicated, this is looking at one particular condition. The property originally had a special use permit approved in February 7th of 2023 that had a number of conditions limiting the number of guest rooms in the people at any time, and obviously the condition that is in question this evening. On February 25th, 2025, the City Council approved an amendment to allow the number of units to go from 5 to 7 with the same conditions that were previous. Some conversation came up at that meeting about that particular condition, but due to the fact that that was not agendized or was not part of the public hearing that took place at the Planning Commission, they could not take any action on that. So the applicant did submit a request to have that condition eliminated so they could hold, meetings and things of that. I was just going to add a couple things in there, just in general. We do have some other bed and breakfasts in the community. I'm not aware of any that have that specific or particular condition attached to it. This is one of the first bed and breakfasts that have come around in, quite a number of years here in town. Also, it, kind of comes down to, and that's what I had in my recommendation, is if you find that eliminating those conditions are not going to have any negative impact, then you should probably approve it. There is an ability to still approve it, but modify the condition in that to where it could be, no outdoor type events, but, they could have meetings and that indoor, et cetera, et cetera. There's ways to do that. Or simply, if you do not feel that it's appropriate, period, then deny the request to eliminate that. So with that, I will bring it back to the council, the commission. If you have any questions of me, obviously there are some people here that probably would like to speak. The applicant owner is here as well. I will note that there was a letter that was submitted with the agenda. That particular property owner is here as well. So they may want to go over the letter that they submitted. But again, back to the commission if you have any questions of me. If not, we can open it up for public comment.
Okay. A couple of things. As we go through the meeting, if you have something to say, please approach the podium and talk through the microphone. Otherwise, this never gets to the city council, the meeting, the things that are said here won't go anywhere. You might as well go out and talk in the lobby if you're not going to talk on the microphone, okay? And we're going to respect each other's what they have to say and go. Also, we're not gonna repeat,
Hold the mic a little closer to you. There we go.
we're not gonna repeat something that somebody else said. So if somebody says, I don't like this, and then somebody else wants to get up and say the same thing, we don't need to hear that. So once a topic is said, that there's no reason to keep talking about it. So first of all, do we have any comments from the planning commission? So far, no? Okay. Does somebody have anything to say from the audience?
Hi, my name is Michael Stutzman. I reside at 1409 West Cleveland, which is right across from the bed and breakfast. As we were talking here earlier, my only concern with anything is, of course, going to be the parking issue. So, you know, like as we just were told that there could be provisions put in if it was approved, I would definitely encourage that. But that's the biggest thing is with the parking issue. I wouldn't want to see that just kind of turned loose to where, yes, we've talked to the owner and stuff and we understand what they're wanting, but I wouldn't want it to be something that could just become a bigger monster in the end. Just for, I mean, if you get 2 or 3 cars parking on the street on either side of that road, it makes it unbearable. Not to mention the fact then, excuse me, during the summer months and stuff, when we have a lot of the visitors and tourists, they like to drive up and down that road as well. So I think if that's a congested area, that's something that we're going to lose out on because people aren't going to want to drive down the road if they're having to weave in and out of cars and things. Also the accidents and stuff that could happen. So I'm not against the bed and breakfast, and you know, we haven't really had a lot of issues or anything with that. That's my only fear, would be to see just somebody say, yeah, go ahead, and then have it become a bigger monster later for everybody that's involved. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a note on that subject. If we do approve it, it goes on to the city council and they can either deny it or approve it at that point. But if it does get approved, it can always be put back in effect. So if we find that there's been a big problem in that area, we can be addressed back on the docket again and we can discuss it and do something about it. Maybe it'll be place a rule of how many cars can be on the street from the bed and breakfast, or on one side of the street or the other side of the street, or whatever. But whatever we say here and whatever the city council decides isn't written in stone. It can be, am I correct on that, Dan?
If there are specific conditions that are not being met, it ultimately could come back to have a review for revocation or other maybe conditions put on in that. If there's not specific conditions, then it just falls under the zoning code as to what it would or would not allow.
Okay.
So then I guess based upon that, my question would be, is that who could bring about that, looking at possibly a revocation if it became an issue? Would it have to be a city official that saw it? Would it have to go through zoning commission? Could us as residents in the area file for that to happen? That's my biggest thing. I'm not against things changing, growing, and people doing things. My biggest thing is if you open the floodgates on something, you know, like if there's a way that there could be stipulations to where we could say, okay, let's see how it does, you know, a probationary period, anything like that, I would fully encourage, because just taking down something that was put there for a reason doesn't seem safe for everybody, because it was there for a reason. the
Yeah,
regulations, so.
and to answer your question, usually what transpires, it's kind of like any code enforcement process. We generally will receive maybe complaints or concerns from citizens that live in the area or general. And so then we will go and investigate. And if we do find that there are issues with meeting conditions that are put forth, first we will usually send them a letter and say, this is an issue, you need to, basically stop or fix this. And then if they don't and continue to go down that road, then we would even encourage it to come back to the commission to be considered for revocation or some other type of conditions in that. And that process would go through the commission and the city council just like we are now. But like I said, it would follow a typical code enforcement process.
Yeah, so with that, then that would be us contacting code enforcement,
Yeah.
following through
Yeah.
and all that, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, with that being said, like I said, if it was approved or anything, I would say that just to make sure that we have the safe provisions in there to where we're not just cutting the floodgates loose. Because to me, as someone that lives right across the street from the property, that right there tells me that I could come down here and raise Cain, but it's not going to do any good unless we're getting the complaints in and we're overriding the people that are handling it with the city rather than just handling it as a residence. So that's my only thing. My thoughts on it are it's just not a good idea to kick a wall down all the way when you don't know what's on the other side. So, thank you.
We were up here in 23.
Could you state your name and your address, please?
My name is Kenny Porter. I live at 1501 West Cleveland. We came up here in 23 and approved a bed and breakfast for 5 rooms. A year later, we come back and have changed that to 7 rooms. Here it is a year later, we're changing it now to an event center. Is that what we're calling it? Or what's the term we're going to use? Wedding reception place, or does it have a name to it?
Airbnb. It's an Airbnb.
Okay, well, it seems like this mantra keeps growing on us. Originally, when we came here, it was 5 rooms, had some regulations put on by staff and Dan here. And 2.5 years ago, all of us neighbors were pretty accepting of it. And here it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and growing. So we're going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. Is it going to be an event center? It says et cetera, which will the term that we're kind of worried about. What is et cetera? If, is Langston University, when they have a tailgate party, they're going to rent the facility. We've seen what they did with Loves and the VFW and stuff like that. So that's what concerns me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carrie Clark Keller, and is it okay for me to speak now? I work at the chamber. Okay. I just wanted to address that there's nowhere that we are trying to be called an event center, a conference center, anything like that. All we're trying to do is have the restrictions removed so we can have a birthday party like our neighbors could have. So we could be on the garden tour like our neighbors are going to be. So we could have once a year, the Victorian home tour and share it with the community. Our property is not designed to have a large amount of people. I made a few notes of just a few things that we might consider having there that would be lovely. A book club meeting. We've had requests for that. We have to turn it down. We can't have 10 ladies come on a Tuesday and do a book club in that beautiful home. We'd like to have a Bible study, a Girl Scout leader meeting. We'd like to have ladies for tea, for the garden club, to just come and have a tea on a Wednesday, a baby shower or a bridal shower, something like that, something you would have in your everyday home. That house is not equipped, designed, able to handle a large amount of people unless it's a tour like it would be. Now, we did have the chamber events, and that is really important to this community as the chamber. It's important to me. I'm on the board. It's not something we're going to have every year because those places and those spots get booked up. But when no one has seen the home and we want to share it with the community, it's a 2-hour time frame, if at that. The coffee is 45 minutes. The chamber coffee is 45 minutes, so that's how long. Let's say an hour, the cars are there. The after hours was a couple hours. But besides the Victorian Home Tour, the 89ers, we just want to have something that you could have at your own home. There's nothing about it that we want to make it a convention center. Now, we have had the property completely full several times, and I have pictures of our parking and how that worked, how people parked on the property. I have designed a parking map, so when people come in, they know where to park, what to do, so we can respect our neighbors. We had one weekend where we had 7 rooms every night, and we had one person park on the street, and that was because they were a late check-in, and they were just parked right in front of our steps on 13th Street. So in full disclosure, we did have one person park on the street. But I just wanted to say that is not our intention. We're not trying to take up the next level. We're just trying to remove a restriction that was put on that really cripples us as just being a normal home in the neighborhood. So thank you.
Good evening. I'm Z. Thomas. I'm at 1403 West Cleveland, which is also across the street, and I sent you a letter. I just want to make sure that if you have any questions, you can ask me. I'll make myself available to answer those questions about that. Mr. Lentz actually called me and asked his questions, and I thought he would be here. But big thing has already been addressed. But the question I had for you was, why were the restrictions put in the first place? If you don't know that, you need to be asking the question, why were those put in? And then if anything has been fixed to fix that, that's a problem. But we've had people park in our yard when they've had big events there and leave ruts in our yard. And if you have seen my yard, I pride myself on keeping it pretty nice. And my wife is always out there doing the flowers and everything else. So we take great pride in our house, and we pick up trash. We fix the ruts from where they drive in the yard, and just don't know that we want to do that all the time. So, any questions for me? I just want to make sure that you had that opportunity to ask.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
I think it's pretty clearly stated in your letter, Z.
Thank you.
I have a question for the owner. What kind of number would you come up with as a limit to how many people you would have?
Can I make a comment as to why we're here? Because those are all valid concerns. The genesis of us being here on this matter is because Ms. Mills on the City Council brought up the fact, because she's a wordsmith, that the way it was originally worded was that we can't have anything. We can't have birthday parties, we can't have chamber, because the way it was worded, it said unequivocally there's nothing you can do. That was not the intent at the time. And so Mr. Kasich basically gave us a letter that said, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, you can't have anything at your property anymore because of the way it's worded, which is the reason we're here now, is to clarify the wording. It's ironic that Z, I don't know his last name, Z, yeah, Z Thomas. The book club is going to be meeting at his place because we can't have it, and we are the title sponsors. Is that ironic? And so we can't do what our neighbors can do, and that's really what we want to do. We don't want to be an event center. We don't want, the property is not designed for that. It's not. What we want to do is the Girl Scouts, we had to turn them down. You can't be here because we are restricted, because we got a letter of basically cease and desist. The Garden Club can't be there. The book club can't be there. We now can't have chamber events. We can't do anything. Literally our hands are tied, and that's why we're here. So I think Mr. Nichols pointed out last time, he asked, are there any other bed and breakfasts that are restricted in any way or shape or form? And the answer was no. And so his concern, not to put words in your mouth, sir, but was that it would be precedent setting that we have restrictions. again, we do not want to be what we are not. We just hate to have our hands tied because we literally can't do any events on behalf of the city. And as I've stated before, we're the custodians of an historic home in Guthrie, and we want to do it justice. And again, we don't want to be an event center, but yet we literally, I can't have a Super Bowl is a ways away, but anyway, we can't have literally friends come over because that is a gathering. And so because of the wording which needed to be clarified, that's the reason we're here. So that's my, so now to your question, sir.
So I think if we had like a maximum, like when the fire chief comes in here, he says, he pulls on the, I don't see one here, but this is City Hall.
It's right
They
back
put-
there. It's right back there on the wall.
Oh, there it is, okay. They post on how many people can be in a room?
I believe that our original SUP, special use permit, was at 25 people. I believe it was 4 per 28 plus, well, it was 4 per room, I believe it was. Mr. Kasich?
Yeah, there's already a limitation on the maximum people.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
Because I was going to comment, and again, I'm not putting words into anybody's, I'm just trying to help the process. It sounds like the biggest concern, especially with the neighbors, is we don't have a 200-person, 100-person outdoor, reception type thing, which I can totally understand. And that's why I had mentioned earlier, you could even modify the condition to say no outdoor, meetings, receptions, or even outdoor receptions, events. It's all, it must be contained within the existing home. That already puts, a natural limitation based not only on the SUP, on the special use, from the special use permit, but in general, you're only going to fit so many people in that house. And generally, you're not going to get any more than you would normally have on a given stay in that. So if 20 people show up for book club, it's really no different than 20 people that may be staying in the 7 different rooms in that. But obviously, it creates it to where they can kind of do what they want, but it isn't going to become a true event, or kind of like the Dominion House where, they have a large property there where they will have outdoor receptions and things like that. So just, again, I don't know if the owner is okay with that, or the commission, but I'm just throwing out some options to hopefully maybe everybody would be on board.
I guess my question is why you understand our intent. Why would we be restricted when others wouldn't? That would be my question. There's
Well,
various.
just as a comfort zone, you might say, or a limit to how many people that they aren't gonna, your neighbors are gonna feel more comfortable if they know what the limit is.
Yeah, here's the problem, I think, is that if we have, let's call it, most especially it's impacted at the Christmas tour. We were asked again to be on the Christmas tour. That's a money fundraiser for the group. And so we would, if we put a restriction on it, even one day, and by the way, the events that we're talking about have happened approximately 4 times in the last 2 years. But if there's a restriction and we have more than that coming for whatever event we have, because again, this is a property that people are attracted to and is a community place to be, then if we're in violation, then we've violated our SUP and with the threat of it being revoked. And yet, that's not our intent, but is to have events like that. And we certainly, the last thing I want to do is have Michael or Z or any one of our neighbors complain about us. That's just not, I've never had my neighbor complain where I've been in 40 years, ever. And we don't want to start that. And so we're just trying to have a make sense approach to a problem that the reason we're here is because it was inadvertently written restrictively. Is that Mr.
Yeah,
Casey?
you're not incorrect. No, you're not incorrect.
Okay, so that's it.
Okay.
Dan, I have a question.
Yes.
Other B&Bs in town, how would they go about if they wanted to host an event? of
Right now,
30?
they don't have any limitations.
So they just
Yeah.
host it, no
Because
problem?
there's the one on, what is it, on Warner? Yeah, Stone Line Inn, they have the mystery events or whatever, and that just goes.
And how many
Yeah.
parking spots are available there that aren't on the street?
Probably less than what's at the
It's
current.
basically all public parking.
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, on the streets and that.
And have any complaints come out of that part of town?
No,
Okay.
no. Because even, to be honest with you, even at the Dominion House, there's rarely ever in time when we have a complaint. I think there's been probably a couple instances, but again, we're talking really apples and oranges when we talk about the properties, because that's a much larger property with a much larger area. Yeah, and they have a large parking lot in that. But, yeah,
And a complaint may or may not have come from me, so I understand. Living in front of it, you know,
Zach can speak to that.
there are some times when it's massive, but, you know, we
Yeah.
have entire schools and problems.
but in general, we have not had any
But it's
issues.
rare, but
Yeah.
it's rare even with that.
Anywhere.
It's rare with having, you
Yeah.
know, 400 students there.
Sure.
My name is Faye Stutzman, 1409 West Cleveland Avenue. I'm neighbors with everyone here. That's not my beef. The special use permit for the Ren Fair, they have to come and get a special use permit, correct? As he had already stated, 2 events per year. To reclassify that home as an event center, you need to put yourself in our position. What's that going to do? Property taxes. Look down the road. What's it going to do? It's going to go up. When you have outside money coming into Oklahoma and buying up properties, jacking up prices, people that have been born and raised here are not going to be able to afford to live here. Look to the future and be smart, because it's not going to be all the glitz and glamour that they promise. I've been here before in a little tiny town called Palisade, Colorado, and they turned it into a tourist spot. Nobody that was born there can afford to live there. All those beautiful houses that were family heirlooms have been turned into B&Bs. Investment companies come in, take over the town. I mean, everywhere, even your seats.
Anybody else?
Just want to add one other thing, just one little thing. We've been talking about parking, and I don't know if you've tried to drive down 13th Street from Noble to Cleveland. But there are trailers, and cars parked on both sides of the road going down through there already, because the people that live there, except for the one guy on the corner, don't seem to have garages, and so they have to park in the street. And it is already a hazard. And if you go to 13th in Cleveland, you'll find that's an unregulated intersection as well, which is pretty hazardous when people don't know how to navigate through one. People worry about roundabouts, but an unregulated intersection like that is also pretty hazardous. I always stop because I don't know what the next guy's going to do, because I don't know if they understand the law or not. But it's an unregulated intersection, and it is very parked up on the 13th Street side, on both sides of the street. So, you know, one of the things you could address there is making one side of the street no parking, but then that other side is going to be completely full. Because I'm pretty sure it would fill up if that happened, because it's pretty full already on both sides. So I just want to make sure that we understand that, because that parking lot at Dominion House makes it a completely different thing than what we're talking about.
Well, in my opinion, the Dominion House is not what we're talking about here.
Exactly.
From a size perspective, the kind of events that are being done, it's,
Right.
you talk about apples and oranges, that's apples and oranges.
Yes, that's exactly right. I want to make that
Yeah.
clear. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Anything else? I'm good.
And if it's unregulated, it might be something that you could come to the city
city,
council
yeah.
meeting and ask if they could, because I'm sure it wouldn't be the first place that you'd say, hey, you know, could we please get a stop sign or a 4-way or something like that? And So I think that would be if that's an issue, I think that would probably be a good place to start with that thing in particular.
Okay, is there anything else? Okay, do we have a recommendation from the,
Do I have any comments? Anything to say?
No.
I'll make a motion that we approve as applied for the change.
I'll second that.
Zach Robbins,
Yes.
Stephen Harrison,
Yes.
Phil Nichols,
Yes.
and Brent Linford.
yes,
Okay, 4-0. And just so the public knows, as was stated by the chairman, this goes to the city council for their review. They obviously will take into account the testimony tonight and the recommendation, but that'll go to the June 3rd council meeting, which is the first council meeting in June. So again, June 3rd is where it'll go to council, and that's where a final decision will be made.
okay. Next on the agenda is application number 25004. Discussion of possible action on request of approval of a preliminary subdivision plat for 11 lots on the 7.5 acre parcel and the 1 through 2 general industrial district. Zoning district located at 420 Industrial Boulevard. Staff report?
Thank you. Aaron, you can put up the PowerPoint. There we go. Yeah, the subject property, as was talked about, is 420 West Industrial. You see it up on the screen. It's an existing larger parcel that I think it's OG&E or an electric company that has the building and the parking there. This is a plat that was as indicated for subdivision of 11 lots. The proposed lots, whoops, where'd my thing go? There we go, whoops. No, the next, whoops, I hit it again. There we go, perfect. They're looking to subdivide the eastern portion of the property into the lots as you see there. They're looking to put a street with a 60-foot right-of-way, which is a minimum that we require in the city. So upon all the improvement plans being done and accepted, it would be dedicated as a city street. It is zoned industrial, so it can have industrial uses all the way down to commercial type uses. There was a development plan submitted. It isn't necessary for a subdivision, but it was submitted just to give an idea of what they're looking to do. And they're looking to have basically 3,000 square foot buildings on each property that will become leasable buildings. Within our industrial zoning district, there is not a minimum lot size. It basically says to, whatever it takes to have enough room on the property for what you're doing, building, parking, and that. Industrial uses take up very little parking because generally they're, a lot of the uses don't even have, people coming there to produce products that. In review with the Public Works Department, well, I should say the water is rural water over there. There currently isn't sewer available to the site, but on the plat, they did indicate that they're going to bring in sewer that would come from the north, so there'll be a sewer line that comes in from the north, and it'll go along the property line, and then they had it in the rear part of the properties. The Public Works would like to have that rerouted to the front of the properties because it makes it a lot easier for maintenance, access, and that than the rear. So that was the main condition that we had on the preliminary plat. The applicant is here. I don't think he has an issue with it, but he'd be able to speak on that. And then, like I said, fire department, because there's a cul-de-sac and they have the turnaround radius and that, there was no issue from their end. So based on all of that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary plat as submitted with the condition that the sewer be located in front of the buildings. The sewer can be on the same side as the water in the street with proper spacing in the street or on the other side of the road. And as you know, they'll be required to come back with their final plat as well as the improvement plans, and that'll come back to the commission and eventually to the city council for approval. So with that, I give it back to the commission, and again, the applicant is here if you have any questions of him.
Good evening. I'm Jason Spencer with Blue & Associates on behalf of the applicant, 13900 Wireless Way in Oklahoma City. As Mr. Kissick said, I mean, we're looking to subdivide an already zoned industrial property there, leaving the existing buildings that are there, but subdividing the east side, which is away from the residential. And the intent would be to have some ability to put in some lease type units, and these are typically light industrial. I mean, it's the type of buildings that contractors such as, drywall, that people rent out. A lot of them will have a small, office or something in the front, and then warehouse type space in that, but can be used for different uses such as that. So as Mr. Casey said, it's 11 lots, and we are agreeable to the condition of moving the sewer to be along the street, and that's not a problem. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Okay, let's open it up for a vote.
I'd make a motion that we approve as applied for.
A second?
Is that you, Zach? Yep. Okay. Zach Robbins?
Yes.
Stephen Harrison?
Yes.
Phil Nichols?
Yes.
And Brent Limford.
Yes.
All right, 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Will that be June 3rd as council?
We'll have to get the improvement plans in and all that first to have reviewed, and then we'll move forward. Yeah, get that. Yeah, so now you know kind of what you're dealing with in that. I'll send an email to you guys tomorrow. Perfect. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you all.
Tell your people, thank you for investing in our community.
Appreciate it.
Okay, the third item is possible action on the request for an amendment to the City Guthrie Code of.
No, that was, I think you're reading from the minutes or something.
Yeah, that's not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done.
Sorry, we're done.
We need a motion to adjourn.
No,
We don't? Oh, one more thing. Oh, staff comments.
Okay.
I just wanted to update the city council, the planning commission. As you guys know, the updated zoning code came to you in March, and you recommended approval of it. That code was adopted by the city council at their May 22nd, 2025 meeting. That code will be effective May 22nd in that. The only change they had from the version that came to you was under political signs, where they just changed it to say that political signs can be put up as soon as you file for candidacy, but they would still have to be taken down within the 5 days after the election. But otherwise, everything was the same as the commission had recommended. So just wanted to update you all on that, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, we'll adjourn.
If you don't have any comments, perfect.